Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Escapades channel in Malaysia. Mattel is going full retro with this newly announced He-Man and Skeletor 2-pack that brings back the original style of the figures as they were introduced to the public in 1982. Now I'm also going to go even more retro for this video. Usually it's the Origins Castle Grayskull that you see in the backdrop from my MOTU videos, but for today we're using the 1982 vintage castle. That's right, okay, the original fortress of mystery and power. This year is the 5th anniversary of MOTU Origins, Mattel's bold move back in 2020 to bring He-Man and gang back to retail stores for a whole new generation with figures and packaging cards that had the same look and feel of the 80s originals but were now supremely articulated with modular parts that allow you to pose and play with them like never before. The line sparked a huge rejuvenated interest in the brand with both casual and long-term fans, and this lasted for a while before slowly fading from stores worldwide. But even at the height of its popularity, a lot of fans could never understand why the new updated head sculpts of the main characters like He-Man and Skeletor actually looked worse than those from 4 decades ago. But now, in 2025, and as part of Mattel's 80th anniversary, they are going even further back to the actual birth of the line with figures that look and feel exactly as they did when they first came out. So what that means is that you're getting more primitive articulation. It's back to the days of 6 points of movement at the neck, arms, legs and waist. Also, apparently the original roto-molded heads are back, which means that you can squish them, okay, like so. Although, just to point out and just so you know if you didn't, back in the 80s, the He-Man figures that were made right here in Malaysia came with the hard heads, all right? Not the squishy ones. Now, I'm not sure if the legs will come with the O-ring rubber bands like they used to, which, I'm personally not a fan of. But to keep things fully authentic, I'll admit that these will need to be there. But what the figures will definitely include is the waist and turn power punch action. Yeah. Take that, Skeletor! Now, I would like to thank several incredible news sites and friends of mine on Instagram for sharing out all of the details and images of this particular set. And these guys include Toy Arc, Toy Habits, Yo Tango El Poder, and Evil Villain, right? So the information on this thing is basically it's going to be presented as a 2-pack. The figures will not be individually carded like they were back in 1982. It's going to come together in one set, retailing for about $45. And the question here is just that I'm pretty sure that every hardcore MOTU fan out there already has these figures in hand because things like eBay and stuff like that through the years have allowed us to come into contact with these figures from our childhood once again. And there was a time that you could actually secure these guys for a pretty good price. Not anymore. So I would say that probably the chance to own this for about $45 is a pretty decent deal. But will collectors still purchase them again? Okay, considering that they already have them in hand. And the answer to that is a definite yes, because these guys are going to be presented in a whole new package with all new artwork. And also because if you notice, Mattel have actually updated the paint apps for both figures. The colors on the figures and body armor and accessories just look so much more brighter and dynamic. And also if you notice, Skeletor's body armor here is completely different, okay, based on this promo image they provided. It's completely different because he comes with purple highlights on the armor. That's something that you don't really see at all in the actual display unit for Skeletor from New York Toy Fair 2025. Okay, here he just looks like he's coming in his regular old 1982 armor. But the one in the promotional image here is completely different. Okay, making this thing probably an instant buy, okay, because it's a variant of sorts. It's like it's from 1982, but not exactly. They've changed it, right, to make sure that you guys just rush out there and purchase it. But like I said, I don't think that these figures together like this is going to be a hard sell by any means. There's a lot of people out there that want replacement weapons as well, accessories too. So I feel that the demand for this thing is going to be really strong. And you know what? The last time that I remember there was actually a retro style re-release of the original He-Man and Skeletor figures was part of the 2001 commemorative edition series. I think this was a limited edition series, and they did a whole bunch of characters, like the main characters. This was the first ever true retro style re-release of these figures. Everything was replicated: the original packaging card, front and back, the figure, the mini comic on the inside. The only thing they added was this cool sort of like outer window box packaging to sort of like seal the package inside. It was a true collector's edition presentation. And back in 2001, there wasn't any sort of retro revival of any pop culture property from the 80s, it was at least about a year before they would bring back things like G.I. Joe, Transformers, the Thundercats. So this was before any of that stuff. And I remember walking to this one hobby store in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I saw that they had this 5-pack there on display, right? It was just such a magical moment. At that time, I wasn't into anything vintage. I was just strictly collecting, Star Wars Power of the Force figures, the McFarlane stuff, the movie maniacs, all of that stuff. But nothing vintage simply because there wasn't access to any of it. But when I saw this He-Man set, I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is seriously something from my childhood. And I just found myself staring at that 5-pack limited edition set for the longest time. And the seller didn't have it up for sale. It was just in a display cabinet. I'm not really sure why. Maybe he just wanted it to be there just for show. But I remember the next time I came into the store and I really wanted to see this set again. Okay, I just came in there. I really wanted to look for it and somehow it was gone. Okay, he didn't have it there anymore. And I asked him about it and he told me that there was this guy that came into the shop, right? And after seeing the set there, he was sort of just visibly moved to tears. That's what the seller told me. The guy was like almost breaking down because it was something that he had when he was a kid. Okay, he never thought it was possible to ever see it again, but there it was. And apparently, he just made the seller something like an offer he couldn't refuse. And so, yeah, okay, the seller parted with the thing. But, I was just like, wow, okay, that was the first time ever I had heard a story about somebody, like an adult, being moved with such emotion at the sight of something from their childhood. And it was a childhood that, basically I was from as well. Okay, so, it was just a really weird feeling. Of course, today, I'm just soaked in it. Okay, nostalgia, retro toys, you name it. Okay, it's a brand for me. But back in the day, I had never come across a situation like that before or heard of a story like that where somebody who was just like a normal average guy, he wasn't like a hardcore toy collector or anything like that. And according to the seller, in fact, this guy wasn't into toys. He wasn't into Star Wars or Spawn or whatever was hot at the time, but he just saw these He-Man figures and he wanted them so badly. I never heard of a situation like that, right? Where somebody was just moved to such emotion at the sight of a toy from their childhood, and more importantly, was willing to pay top dollar for it. Okay, it wasn't even for sale, but he just went ahead and made a huge top dollar offer for it just so he could take home this piece of his childhood. Right? What do you guys think about that? Anyway, this set, like I said, is really exciting news for MOTU fans, collectors, everyone. Okay, even just the normal average person on the street who's never collected a toy in the last 30 years, but probably He-Man is going to bring something back for him or her. All right, so this set definitely something to look out for. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching. Take care out there.